After a 2-month break, it's time to go racing again. Testing, refining and wondering ends now as we prepare for round 2 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. This is the Barber 200 at the glorious Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader, and it sure feels good to be going racing again, doesn't it, being back at the track. And let's chew over some figures, some pretty interesting figures for you, because this track isn't that long, guys, right? It's 2.3 miles in length. But throw on 75 cars on this racing surface. Dors, does that equal chaos?
In a word, yes. Actually, if you look at traffic density, if you spaced every car equally around the racetrack, 75 cars over 2.3 miles, you'd have 166 feet between each car until you start them in motion, and then that's where the word chaos comes in.
It's going to be wild, Dorsey, and there's a very diverse multitude of different manufacturers in this race here today. For example, in the GS class alone, 5 different manufacturers claim the 5 top spots on the grid. So you could see Aston Martin, Subaru claim their first class victory against the powerhouse teams that run in cars like Fords, Chevys, Porsches and BMWs, so a lot to play for.
And we have 20 more cars on the track than we did this time last year. They are rolling already. And speaking of that, we're going to roll in the Kia starting grid at the top of the screen, and let's get straight to some GS or Grand Sport storylines. And we start with Roush Performance. The last 2 years they've been in the hole after the season opening Daytona race. However, they won this year. They are strong.
Then we see one of the leading BMW teams making a switch here today to the Porsche. And then we see the Starworks team, the Rolex Series team. They're running 4 of the Mustangs in this class, so in this massive field, really diverse.
Let's continue to talk Grand Sport. Here's Chris Neville.
And Lee, when you look at the last couple years, it's really been Mustang that has been so strong. But late last year, we started to see a little bit of shift in that power, leaning over towards the Camaro. They came away with 2 wins last year, and they're building on that momentum today. Austin Loschenbach grabbing the pole for the Camaro. But when you look at this field, like you guys said, it's all about manufacturer diversity. Chevy, Ford, BMW, Porsche, Subaru, Aston Martin, all up at the front. And then look at the depth of driver talent. In Grand Sport, 32 drivers qualifying within about 4.5 seconds of each other. 75 cars, 2.3 miles. This is going to be one wild race.
Chris, it most certainly is. That's why we're so excited. We're getting ready to go. But first we've got to talk about ST or Street Tuner. And here are the main storylines there. Cast your minds back to last year. And Nick Johnson and his Kia team, his Kinetic Kia team, finished with a championship victory. They start this year in a very strong fashion. Almost won at Daytona. And they're on the pole here.
They almost won, but the team that did win their iMotor, the Mazda team, are really emerging as a championship contender, Dorsey, with that win.
Local business APR with a home track effort, a huge one. 6 cars in this event today.
Time to talk ST. Here's Brian.
Well, Lee, those are all great stories, but you forgot 2 other stories that I think are very important. CJ Wilson Racing, in only their 2nd Continental Tire event, has qualified on the front row. Mark Miller in his Mazda MX-5, he was flying. You'll share that car with Bruce Ledoux. What about Multimatic? They brought Ford Focus to Daytona for the very first time. They didn't have the result that they wanted, but they are much stronger here. James Gouet will be starting 5th in that Ford Focus. Lots going on in ST.
Getting ready to go.
Oceanback there in that black Camaro. Can he get the lead? You'd have to think he'd have a bit more grunt than that Aston on the outside of the front row with Joe Foster behind the wheel.
And what about that Subaru starting on the 2nd row? They are pumped. They're ready to go. The new Porsche for the Rum Bum Boys. And the CKS Camaro team starting from the pole. Let's go. Let's see what Lawson Aschenbach can do. Down into turn 1. Good clean start there. The Aston Martin tucks into 2nd. Brett Spouty into 3rd in the Subaru. Whoa! One car way out of control. 2 out of control.
4, 5, 6 cars involved in that. 1 car ride over the top of the other, the 122.
Enzo Potolicchio there. We've got one of the Mitchell Motorsport Camaros there. That was wild stuff.
Yeah, that Mustang just took to the grass there down on the inside. No slowing down and just plowed through the field as they went through the apex of turn 1.
Of course, that brings out full course caution on lap 1, and I hope the whole race doesn't go in this direction. Watch this restart, guys.
There's one of the white Mustangs further back, which is Enzo Potolicchio. He'll go across the grass. Watch this. Watch this. Down the inside of the BMW. That's Potolicchio.
And the 22 Mustang, they climbed literally over the top of the black Camaro, the 6, went over the roof.
And remember, Enzo just jumped out of a Rolex DP car just a few minutes ago, so he's got to make that adjustment in terms of how these cars brake and perform here on cold tires, cold brakes.
And that Mitchell Motorsports Camaro, you can see to the left in the gravel trap, is a driver making his debut in the series, British driver George Richardson. Well, he'll remember his Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series opening race for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. That was pretty wild stuff. Just want to make a correction. It was Podolicchio who was getting partially airborne in the middle. He was not that car that went down the inside. The O2 there with damage. We're going to clean this up, come back, and update you who is where. Welcome back, everyone, to Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Still under that opening full course caution. And while we are, we will take time to take a closer look at this circuit with the Kia track map. Dors?
Well, Barber Motorsports Park, one of the most beautiful scenic layouts anywhere in the United States of America. 2.38 miles in length, 15 corners. It's a very busy racetrack. Very narrow, tough to pass. Turn 1, turn 5, 2 the best places. The straightaway from 10 to 11, another good one. Very abrasive surface. It's hard on tires, guys.
You said tough to pass, but we saw some pretty innovative passing moves down at the first corner on the first lap with a pretty big incident. We're going to show you a replay in just a moment, but first, let's take you to the Continental Tire race analysis. And just look at that spread of cars, Cal. 35 GS, 40 ST. It's crammed out there.
It is. Dorsey said it would be chaos, and we've seen this before we've even got a lap under our belts today.
All right, an 8-car incident on the opening lap, on the opening turn. Look for a white Mustang. It belongs to Alex Popov. He goes up the inside of the Turner Motorsport BMW, hits the Nissan. Then at the same time, Enzo Podolicchio climbs over the top of the number 6 of George Richardson.
He said, I couldn't pass to the left, I couldn't pass to the right, I'll go over the top.
Yeah, BJ Zacharias involved there in the number 14 Nissan, and Patrick Dempsey will go a quick tap there. There you see all the cars that were involved in that crash. Major cars.
Oh, another big crash right at the start. Roush's Mustang involved again. It's not over with yet. Look at this.
And more cars getting airborne. Shelby Blackstock was in the middle of that one. It's the 97 Turner Motorsport car, this time of Michael Marcel. There's another BMW. That's one of the Mustangs, the 158 machine. Oh, boy.
Here we go. That one's done.
That's Michael Marcel, and that was a pretty heavy hit, too, as you can see, right up against that inside wall. There's Shelby Blackstock in the second Roush Mustang. Both the 51 and the 61 have been affected by the opening crashes, and that's the other Podolicchio in the 11. Three of the four Starworks Mustangs, and the 46 of Mark Bowden, team principal at Four Line Motorsports, has his BMW crunched.
And this is somebody in the back getting antsy. Watch in the middle. There it is right there. Somebody pops out, clips the car in front of him, sending a complete, just everybody bouncing off everyone. Somebody comes in here really late and has a wreck, too. It's this car coming. Look in the back. It was that car that moved. I'll get you the number. It's that one right there. It was Shelby Blackstock, it looks like, that started that.
Big hit for Michael Marcel there in the 97 Turner car.
And that was Roger Miller in that 158 Mustang Ford Racing.
As I say that, Shelby might have been hit from behind because the car turned real hard all at once.
There was a stack up there at about 10 cars back and caught everyone out there. Did we go? I think maybe people think we were going to check green and we didn't. Maybe that was the issue. I'm not sure.
There is Will Turner, team principal, making sure that his driver Michael Marcel is okay. There is Shelby Blackstock with a very badly damaged Roush Performance Mustang, both sides of the car, and maybe even in the rear. Mark Bowden's backstage, a four-line BMW, heavily damaged. Well, we're kind of saying it a bit tongue-in-cheek, looking for the entertainment value of there being a little bit chaos, but this has taken a serious slant now. 2 significant accidents. We just can't seem to get this thing going.
Driver's shaking up here.
To Chris Neville.
Well, Ryan Dial was hoping to get behind the wheel of the 22 Mustang, but his driver, his co-driver, Enzo Podolicchio, was involved in that first incident down in turn 1. And Ryan, did you hear anything from Enzo after that accident?
I haven't talked to him yet, but looking at the replay, he was in the inside. I mean, he was still on the track, and the guy turned in on him, so I'm sure he's going to be pretty upset about it. And now, you know, his son Gianni just got wrecked on this restart, but in my opinion, too many cars on the track and too many variances in speed. You know, we shouldn't have to do one class for 80+ cars. It's a waste of money at this point.
Oh, Ryan was telling me earlier, he said, it's obviously disappointing. I'm not going to get behind the wheel, but if there's any team you can be with that can make a tough weekend into an okay weekend, it's Peter Barron's group. We have a lot of fun over here.
Of course, all these cars he's talking about are all in the same class, so there is no speed variance, or at least there shouldn't be. The 2 car involved in that as well. That's another that makes my count so far is 6 again.
Well, that's it. Just keep adding it to the list, and that is team principal Jim Click behind the wheel of the 2. This is going to take quite some time to clean up. We'll squeeze in a break, come back, and hopefully we'll see some good, clean racing. Back at Barber Motorsports Park after a considerable clean-up and clear-up here at this beautiful racing venue, and we have not had the fortune to see too much beautiful racing. It has been an eventful start to this event. Craziness can be one word that comes to mind. As we take a look at this again, you're looking for the white Mustang of Alex Popov to go across the grass, hit the Nissan of BJ Zacharias, and in the middle of that, Dorsey.
Yeah, and so Pedalicchio goes. Watch the 22 Mustang in the back right here. Goes airborne, drives over the top. This is the second restart. Attempt to restart.
Yeah, this is Michael Marcel going into the wall. He got tagged by Shelby Blackstock. There is Roger Miller right in the middle in the 158. There is another of the Pedalicchios there. So,
just a stack up in the middle of the pack. I initially thought the green hadn't come out, but it had. So something went awry about 10, 12 cars back in that line. And just massive carnage and a big cleanup. There's glass everywhere. Fortunately, we believe all of the drivers are okay, but major damage to some very expensive race cars.
Unofficially, 13 cars in 2 incidents in 21 seconds of green flag racing were destroyed. 13 different cars. Of course, a lot of those have been patched together and will restart.
Well, 3 of those cars heavily affected. Gianni Pedalicchio was the last one I was mentioning to you. This is the second incident involving these cars that you see here, but Alex Popov and Enzo Pedalicchio. So 3 of the 4 Starworks Mustangs affected. Just craziness. But thankfully it's been cleaned up. We still have a huge field to go racing with an hour, 35 minutes left in this 2.5-hour event, ready to go, with Lawson Archenbach at the front of this field where he has been the entire time. Green. The pole sitter. Now here's green. Let's go racing. Keep it clean, boys. Let's circulate some laps.
Yeah, I see some people breaking order early. I think there'll be some penalties after review on this one. Here we see some cars sliding down the inside there. And hopefully they've learned their lesson.
Jack Roush Jr. and 61 Mustang making a move. The red Mustang up the inside there. The doorless number 6 Camaro. That was the car that got driven over the top of.
Yeah, that was George Richardson who was behind the wheel of that Mitchell Motorsports Camaro. It's Billy Johnson in the 61 that keeps flashing up the inside. These guys are the championship leaders in the GS class, and Billy's going deep in that Roush Performance Mustang, trying to squeeze through on the APR Audi.
Saw Matt Bell there. He's taken over the driving duties of the number 9. He looked to the inside, got blocked. That allowed the Rum Bum Porsche there to gain a couple of spots on him. Some of these guys have pitted, some have not.
A lot of driver changes already done, Calvin, because these guys are looking at the fact that they can go pretty much toward the end of the distance now.
Yeah, certainly in the ST class, that's the case on fuel. A couple of the cars we believe are really getting tremendous fuel mileage. For these guys, is the important thing is getting past the 30-minute mark and getting those driver championship points. That's been cleared out of the way. Well, now you just play your strategy out.
This is still crazy. There's a Rum Bum Porsche at 13. Of course, that's the Rum Bum BMW. Up until this weekend, they switched over. Rum Bum team did to the Porsche. They like its platform looking at a long-term picture.
And that's pushing the 39 of Clint Guthrie pretty forcefully in that Porsche. So we work it out, we stretch it out. There's the Stevenson Camaro a little further back. But up front, it's clear sailing for Lawson Archenbach. How about the Subaru for Phoenix Performance sitting in second place with Brett Spouty? This is really encouraging stuff. Brett's got by that the machine of Joe Foster, the Aston Martin Vantage. Inside move by the 45 four-line BMW on the sister car.
Teammates there trading paint there, going down into 2-1, but that Subaru is really looking good. It led a few laps here last year. They've got a bigger fuel cell, so that helps them really even up against the rest of the field. And they've done a little bit of testing at New Jersey Motorsports Park earlier this month. They're feeling good.
Car's been really good throughout the weekend as far as its practice times goes. They have a limited time, but the look at this, guys. This is the ST field. Somebody's smoking pretty heavily at the back of that one.
Andy Lally has been enjoying his time at the front in the Kinetic Kia, the pole-sitting car, but you're looking here at the 18, the inside BMW. You've got some Compass 360 Hondas, the inside Mazda Speed 3 there. This is a good scrap going on. One of the Bimmer World BMWs in the middle of it as well.
Yeah, 2 of them, in fact, looking pretty close together there. And the Kia really split their strategy. They brought in the Pombo car and have done a drive. Oh, that's too late. That's too late.
Yeah.
Bad move there down on the inside.
Good reaction from the guys on the outside, seeing it happen in front of them and not becoming part of it. Although, as I say that, it's not over with yet.
Whoa.
Big stack-up effect.
I think that was Capestro de Bats down there, down into turn 5, just going a little bit too deep. Wasn't going to work. Look at this.
So the guys are anxious, they're impatient, they want to go racing. They've been tired of this prolonged caution period. As they sort themselves out, let's get down to the pits to get an update from Roush Performance, because both the 51 and 61 were involved in both of those earlier incidents. Brian?
Well, the crew at Roush down here hustling around right now, so it looks like there's going to be some more service. Jack, championship leaders after the win at Daytona, but then you come in here, it all goes wrong. You were involved in that first incident. What did it seem like from your seat?
I saw a perfectly fine racetrack and just started spinning around. I never saw it coming. I got hit from behind, spun me around. Luckily, the car, I think, is okay. It did flatten our left rear, but we'll see what we can do. I don't know. This is a crazy race. I don't know. Maybe there won't be enough green flag laps to even make it out, but I don't know.
So Jack was involved in the first one. Shelby Blackstock, teammate to Jack Roush Jr. and Billy Johnson. You were a witness to his, and then you had your own on that second restart.
Yeah, exactly. I was right behind Jack, and it looked like one of the Starworks Mustangs climbed the curb and basically flew right into Jack on the first one. The second one, unfortunately, I was involved. It was on the restart, and as soon as they threw the green, I guess somebody up front checked up, and the whole field threshold brake. I tried to miss, and everybody from behind me hit me. And then the blue Mustang, the 140, I think it is 150. He came barreling through it, trying to shoot a gap or trying to get some track position, and then pile drove me on the side. Apparently he was airborne, but not the most fun racing, you could say. And yeah, I'm shocked they're getting green laps right now.
Not a good day for the Roush stablemates down here. We're going to see what Billy Johnson can do with the 61.
Well,
that's going behind the wall right now, Lee.
The 61's behind the wall. I saw Billy Johnson dropping down the timing order. And there it is.
That is huge. Remember the problems they've had in seasons past where they had that big DNF, Dorsey. It digs a big hole for them in the championship, even after a win at Daytona.
Yeah, they started this year on the best year that they had with a good win in Daytona, and now only the second race, and it looks like a possible DNF again.
There aren't too many racing series in the world where you can say there's a Chevy Camaro leading a Subaru WRX, leading an Aston Martin Vantage, leading a BMW M3, an E92 M3 V8. This is good spread of manufacturers, as Cal said right at the top of the show. These four-line sister cars are going hard at it here.
Boy.
Inside, look at the 45 of Al Carter trying to get by Charlie Putman.
Oh, he runs.
Boys.
Gave him a little bit of room. He allowed two wheels to stay on the racetrack, not push all four off, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, big wreck here, full course 08
That's
Porsche. Well, and that is a very hurt car.
It's coming out of 4, I believe.
That was good thinking to gas that car up and get going. And Jim Johnson, let's hope he's all right. That's a heavy hit.
You're not kidding, it is.
So we transition into our third full course caution, and here come the ST cars. They will see all of the debris on the track.
They'll
the
run
yellows
right
are waving.
They have no choice, unfortunately. Heavy contact with the wall. I think what happened, that's coming up over that light brow, and you're really light, and it looks like it probably dropped a wheel cavern on the outside here by the grass and hooked across into that guardrail. We don't know that. Speculation. In any event, a monster wreck. You can see from the damaged front and rear of that Porsche. Driver's seemingly okay as he's moving around.
We have a replay. It's the tail end of the incident for Jim Johnson, Rebel Rock Racing.
There you go. I don't know if there was anybody else involved, but that was a massive hit at the guardrail.
Yeah, typically it's when people come back to the apex, they get clipped there with the car on the inside, so I'm not sure if he was going around someone or someone was going around him.
He was pretty smart to jam it in gear and just push it off the racetrack into the guardrail again, because he was in a bad spot right there. It's blind coming over the brow of a hill.
One of the new teams, one of the new entrants for the 2012 championship season, so it's a shame at just the second round to see that car so heavily damaged, but we did see signs of Jim moving around in the cockpit, which was encouraging. So, third full course caution. Not a whole lot of racing done yet. So we welcome you back. We're still under caution and pit stops underway. The majority of the Grand Sport cars have executed theirs. Now the ST Street Tuner cars are doing theirs. But let's bring you up to speed. 3 significant incidents. Let's start right on the very first lap, first turn. And the 2 Starworks Mustangs are involved in this. First, you'll see Alex Popov on the inside in the center. Jumping over the top is Enzo Potolicchio, and there were 8 cars involved in that incident.
Clean that one up, restart, middle of the pack. Again, another huge wreck, this time 6 cars involved. Take a different look at it. Shelby Blackstock involved somewhere at the beginning of that. He got tapped, everybody flying, and this is the most recent and a very big hit.
Jim Johnson in the Rebel Rock Racing Porsche. Nasty stuff coming across the top of that blind hill. And that's what brings us here to our 3rd full course caution. Let's go to the pits. Let's get an update. We start with Chris Neville.
Well, Grand Sport pole sitter Lawson Aschenbach came to pit lane, handed over to his teammate Eric Kern. And Lawson, by you guys coming in now on the 3rd caution, you gave up some track position because the car in front of you came in on the 2nd caution. With the lack of green flag laps, how hard is Eric going to have to push to try and get that Camaro to the front?
Well, obviously track position is everything here. You know, it's such a small track for so many cars, and you know, with the cautions, you don't have a lot of time to kind of move up to the front. So yeah, Eric does have his work cut out for us. We got to be aggressive, you know, and I think with where we're at right now, our strategy might play into our favor towards the end of the race if it stays green the whole way. A lot of the guys that stopped before us might not be able to make it to the end. So more importantly, though, I just really want to thank everybody at CKS Autosport. The Chevrolet Camaro GSR was just awesome all week, and we got the pole and had a good first stint there, other than the cautions just kind of hanging out there. But you know, happy with everybody, and we'll see what Eric can do in the second half of the race.
Yeah, the key there is this race is going to have to stay green because those cars in front of them, they don't need too much more caution to make it the rest of the way. Brian?
Well, with the Camaro coming to pit road, the Aston Martin, the 55, goes out front with Joe Foster, and it's Scott Maxwell, a teammate. That Aston seems to have been run very strong here, but these full course cautions and short sprints in between, is that good for you guys or is it bad for you?
Well, I mean, we won't know for a while. I mean, right now we're playing it out, trying to do a one-stop strategy, which is never really the plan in Grand Sports. So the Multimatic Aston Martin's running really well. Continental tires are working well, so and Joe's happy. So we'll just leave him out there and hope we get another caution soon, and then I'll get in.
Set down to Chris Neville.
Well, Andy Lally putting his Kia hat on down here. And Andy, by leading this race, you're the first driver in Grand Am, 7 years to lead both series in one day. Pretty cool.
I kind of made that up about the 7 years, so I'm not sure. Maybe Oberlin's done it or something like that. But yeah, 2 cars in one day is pretty.
Hey, don't wreck my story, man.
This Kia, this Forte is flying, man. These guys at Kinetic are doing really well. You know, basically we're out there. We got a great tire under us from the Continental tire, and we're just hanging out and going fast. When we finally went green, the car was really strong. We were able to pull away and just hand it over to one of the greatest teammates I've ever had, Nick Janssen, and let this thing get up there and see if we can take a win and take the points lead.
You've got so much racing experience. How tough is it when you've got a race like this that just never wants to go green?
It's, you know, this series is so awesome. If everybody had an onboard camera facing forward, back, and on each side, we would have the best highlight video in the world. This would be one of these DVDs that you see at 5 o'clock in the morning of craziest stuff on 4 wheels, and I love it. I mean, it's like Grand Theft Auto for 2.5 hours. It's super awesome, and that's what makes it so fun. I mean, you've got 20-something different makes out here, everybody battling against each other on a really tough, twisty circuit in the heat of the day, and that's just awesome. And if all goes well, we'll have our Kia on top of that pile there.
Yeah, very important racetrack for Kia. Their plant is just down the road, and they got their first professional win right here last year.
I want to just say, because the naysayers are going to say too many cars on too short a track, I want to point out the fact that every crash so far has involved only one class, the Grand Sport class, and it has nothing to do with the fact that we're running a multi-class event here. The street tuner guys have been very clean. The Grand Sports guys have got to clean it up.
Ready to go with an Aston Martin at the front of this field. These top 2 guys have not pitted. It's Joe Foster leading Gunter Shaldak, Multimatic, ahead of Mitcham Motorsports, and then the new car in the field, the Rum Bum Porsche with Matt Plum behind the wheel. Foster, Shaldak, Matt Plum, and then that inside BMW with Martin Jensen behind the wheel. That's a good showing from that car.
Remember, the fact that Plum is now behind the wheel of the 13 means they have made a pit stop and they're already up to 3rd. So Foster and the Multimatic group rolling the dice a little bit here. Gunter Shaldak starting at the very back of this GS pack. He's up to 2nd. Let's see what they can do. Joe Foster told me this Aston is really, really good on the brakes. He said, but we're losing a little bit on the torque stakes to the big powered V8s.
And of course, it's just like starting the whole race over again. These are new drivers in the cars for the first time. There's been no rhythm established to this race other than wrecking. So everybody's just feeling the cars out for the first time.
Tony Rivera is in there in that black and orange BMW. Round the outside goes Matt Plum in the Porsche. Is he going to pull it off? Yes, he does. The
Beautiful
Rum Bum
move.
Porsche to second.
That was fantastic. He set him up perfectly and just carried monster speed into that turn-in point for that chicane and just carried it through. They're very excited in this group about the potential of switching to this Porsche. What a statement they would make first time out.
Well, give credit to team owner Lou Bacardi. He said, we seem to be stuck in this BMW gang, this BMW group. I've always loved Porsches. Let's break out of the mold and try our luck with a Porsche and see how we go. Speaking of Porsches, the Tower Events BGB car is going well with Dave Impringham as well.
But look at this. Matt Plum wants the way through. He wants to get that lead early away from Joe Foster and let Joe Vardy really make the calls, the right calls in terms of strategy to try and win this race.
Look at Billy Orblin up the inside doors. Did you see that?
Yeah,
and that turn of BMW, he's going for third.
Well, guys, think about it. It's a shortened race now. We've lost a lot of the distance of the race, and now it's almost turning into a sprint format.
And this is a great recovery because remember on that first carnage we had on the very first start, Paul Dalla was involved there down in turn one. So there was repairs that had to be made to the bodywork on the 96 Turner Motorsports BMW. They've got it back out. You can see the duct tape on the right rear corner there.
That 19 black and white BMW doing well is Martin Jensen, and that car has recently switched engine builders and so far seeing the gains. Tony Rivera for Brass Monkey Racing is right in behind him. Dave Impringham, Matt Bell, Eric Curran, Hugh Plum, and Andrew Aquilante. I don't think it was exactly a speedy pit stop by the Subaru guys there because they were right at the front of this pack. They've dropped many positions.
Yeah, they had a slight delay on that pit stop. Lost them about 5 spots, as I recall, when they were in pit lane. But they've got a strong race car here. They always run well on these slippery racetracks such as Barber.
Matt Plum really wants this lead. You look at the Rum Bum Porsche, and he's really pushing that car extremely hard. He feels like, I suppose, he really needs to be in front of the Aston here, and I think an attempt down here possibly.
He certainly got some speed there, but I think he was surprised by how late Joe Foster could get on the brakes for turn 5. He dived it to the inside, but Foster was just braking at the same rate as him.
Good, clean racing here. This is tough stuff. Joe Foster hanging on. Remember, Joe has not pitted yet. You heard Scott Maxwell say before, we're going for a one-stop strategy. That's why he has been out there for a long, long time. Some 29 laps, coming up the clock over to 30 laps. And all the while, the 74 goes around of Adam Burrows.
Buckley didn't come back into traffic. Was sure trying to. Adam got it stopped. That would have been a nasty one.
Good recovery.
Really good for recovery, but look up front and talking about the Aston Martin making a one-stop strategy. That's cool, but remember the Rum Bum car will only need one more stop as well, and they need to put less fuel on board than the Aston. Let's see this brake zone down into 5.
I think he'll get him this time. He's got position going in.
Position, yeah. He read it the last time, realized how strong the Aston was. He tries to cut back under, but Matt takes the track position away from him. Good clean move, and Oberlin's right there now.
Now, if that was any other car other than an Aston Martin, Joe Foster would have hit him. But because it's an Aston Martin, he's looking after him.
Yeah, it's too expensive. I can't afford the debt.
Oberlin is on a charge here. The BMW finished second here last year on the way to their championship run for Paul Dalla. Turner have a great record here at this racetrack.
Plum, Foster, Oberlin, Gunther Shaldak still hanging on to 4th for Mitchell Motorsports. Had a lot of electrical trouble this weekend with that car, but the 62 hanging tough. They're on a similar strategy to Joe Foster and Multimatic. We're back and the action is fast and furious here at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. It's round 2 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series for 2012, and it's been a very crazy day. And how about this? C.J. Wilson's Mazda team out in front with Mark Miller behind the wheel. This car was on the front row of the ST grid. Huge props to this new team. They're working their way to the front, and the Mazda MX-5 is performing beautifully.
Yeah, they thought it would be well suited to this racetrack, and it certainly is doing a great job. As you mentioned, Lee, only the second race in this series for this new team, and what a performance. They were ecstatic after qualifying. They have to really have a smile on their face right now, leading this race early.
Got 3 wide coming down into turn 1 here. Hopefully they'll sort it out. They do.
Pierre Klein-Newbing in the 31, the championship leader, with that dramatic victory at the Daytona International Speedway Rolex 24 weekend when he stole the victory away from Nick Johnson. That was an amazing result.
Yeah, it was really tight there, just cutting it across the line. No one knew who was going to get it, and he finally pipped him, but just a great battle. I think we're going to see more of that throughout the course of this championship season.
Look at this, really good, hard, close racing. Outbreaking down into turn 5, little 03 Mazda Miata.
Jason Saney, let's climb aboard the 26. Speaking of Mazda MX-5s, this is the 26 of Andrew Carbonell, chasing the sister car of Tom Long.
MX-5, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Freedom Motorsport machines.
And through turn 7. Well, chicane, you're really going to eat the curb through there. Suspension will absorb these low curbs.
This is racing, guys. You get this big field, and this is, of course, we've been talking about the big field. A little more of the ST cars in Grand Sport, 2 more to be exact, or as it turns out now after the wreck, a whole lot more after the wrecks.
That little Mini there hopping over the curbs there. It's got such a short wheelbase. It's Corey Fergus behind the wheel of the 198.
It's got an update from Race Control that the 2 Freedom Motorsport Mazdas and the 33 machine of Lara Tallman all will be penalised because they pitted out of sequence when the pits were closed on the second full course portion for the ST cars. So we'll follow up on that one.
On board with Nick Johnson, they took the opportunity to pit on the last time around. Their teammates, the Pombo brothers, pitted early, so they've gained a lot of track position on them, but Nick will have a bit more fuel on board. Right now he's down in the 20th position in the ST class.
He's looking for a long green flag run, hopefully.
Of course, he won the championship last year, aided by Michael Gallardi and Andy Lally early in the season before Andy had his cup ride with TRG.
Nick Johnson diamond that turn. It's a pretty long 180-degree right-hand corner, and he gave up front-wheel drive. He just kind of braked and came in early with a lot of speed, braked in the middle, and rotated. Takes that position away under braking.
Nicely done. Back on board the 26. Whoa. Contact up there between Tom Long and the Kinetic Kia.
Loosened him up on the entry. That'll get your attention.
That was good stuff. That's Mark Pombo behind the wheel. He is a very talented young driver.
I don't need help turning. I'm doing fine by myself.
This is with Tom Long now. Let's get that view a little closer. Derek Whitus has done his job, as always. Hands over to Tom Long to finish the race off.
Look how cool this is, sliding these little ST cars through that chicane. They're using all of the curb on the exit. They're wringing the necks of these cars.
They're fun to drive like this, too, Calvin. I mean, you're wringing the neck of the car. You're slipping and sliding them all over the place, jumping off curbs.
Right now, this Mazda looks a little bit stronger through some of these turns.
Oh, a bump up ahead. That almost turned the car, too.
Tom Long's got a run here on Pombo, or does he? There's damage on the front of the 12. Down into turn 1. Tom Long close enough? No.
Kia has some power, man, down through the middle part of that straightaway. Pulled about half a car length there with Long right on his tail.
Well, you know what, Mike, just from racing all my life, I'm looking way in front of where this battle is, and I'm seeing these guys up in front are pushing and shoving each other around and turning each other sideways. For the guys behind, they just have to be watching that, because at any moment, one of those cars in front can really cause a melee.
You're saying getting ready for something?
Yeah, my sensors tell me, you know.
That's Tom Dyer there in the 32 machine. He doesn't have a lot of front-wheel drive experience. Saw him put on some great performances there. Little pop and go.
Yeah, gave him a little shot there,
like
pushed him wide. Yeah, I like
you've done that before.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Of course, depends what car you're in.
Favor might be returned here, boys.
Oh, you got to give him the number 1.
Yeah, Mark's a very aggressive young man. He likes to be out front and doesn't like being roughed up there, I don't think. But right now you see just the grip isn't there through the middle of the corners, Dorsey. That Mazda is hooked.
But it is fun. I mean, driving these showing stock classes like this are just a blast. But you got to be able to drive them right on the edge, and that's what these guys are up to right now.
Through 9 and 10, and you got this middle part of the back straightaway. Move down a slight hill through the chicane in 11, very fast.
Gunther Shaldak brings the Mitcham Motorsports Camaro in. Incidentally, Bill Auberlin came in a short while ago and pitted the Turner BMW, Chris.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is we've just kind of crossed over that threshold for the Grand Sport cars that can now make it the distance if we stay green. So any teams out there that might be trying to roll the dice, we might seem to shoot to pit lane and take a splash of fuel just because we finally seem to get this race going. But the 62 running up in third when they came to pit lane. They're going to do their fuel and tire tires, get their driver change done, which they hasn't done yet, and get them back out in the fight. And we also saw that with the Turner car coming just a couple laps ago.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Chris, with the fuel window.
I got a clear pit lane. Be ready. Last tire here. Go, 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 go.
That's the voice of Chris Mitchell, the man behind the name on the team. New sponsor on that car, incidentally, this weekend, which is good to see. Good new livery on board the 62 Camaro. So the revised order is this man here, Matt Plum, in the Rum Bum Porsche up front ahead of the Aston Martin of Joe Foster for Multimatic. And then Andrew Aquilante in the Subaru has clawed his way back up into the top three.
Yeah, they've always been strong here, as we mentioned. Led a few laps last year before some problems, but right now you've got to wonder, what will Giovanni call on this car, the lead car? Will he bring him in? They've seen some of the other front runners make that call to pit and be the first to pit to get to the checkered flag on that fuel run. That is really what the Turner Motorsports boys just did, as we just saw with the Mitchum Camaro as well. But the thing is, you're really going to stretch that tire life as well. That's a big factor around him, around Barber, as you mentioned earlier in the show, Dorsey.
Well, you guys were just talking about that Subaru, checking in with some of these Grand Sport teams on if they can make it or if they have to come back to pit lane. One of the teams that pitted in that third caution there was the Subaru, and right now Joe Aquilante telling me that they are good to go on fuel even if we stay green all the way. However, the Camaro that came in with Eric Kern behind the wheel, they are going to have to come back in unless we see another caution. Brian?
The 55 Multimatic Aston Martin is in. Joe Foster out. Scott Maxwell climbing behind the wheel. Not a mark on this car, amazingly enough, after all the melee we've seen out on the racetrack. It's Continental tires and Sunoco fuel, and now the stop taking a little bit longer as they get Maxwell sorted out. Left side tires go on. Scott grabs reverse, and now he's off and going. Interestingly enough, when the 96 came to pit road a little while ago, Bill Auberlin, the BMW, not routine service, he felt like something collapsed on the left rear. Thought it was a problem from the contact early on. They changed the tires, got him back on the racetrack. The car's just not the same.
Well, these guys slamming these cars across these curbs, and of course all that wreckage. Oh, there was a push right there.
That was a great save.
That was a wonderful save. My gosh. Those fallen guys are whipping on each other.
That was Dean Martin in the Rehagen Mustang there, the 52. Good save. This is one of the cars that actually started from pit lane. 52 and the 59 started from pit lane earlier in the race and missed all that chaos up front. We climb back aboard one of the Freedom Autosport Mazdas, and it's crazy out there, whether you're in GS or ST, and we're far from done. Still another hour to go in this race. Stay with us. I think some of these guys think they're road rules. Certainly if you're Tom Long or Mark Pombo, these guys are just beating up on each other.
And look at that Tom Dyer right in front of me. He doesn't have a lot of experience in front-wheel drive cars, up from the Mini a little bit last year. Here we go. On board with Mark Pombo, trying to make the move on Tom Dyer here.
Tom Long to the outside of him, and we're neck and neck for a drag race down to the brake zone.
Good position. It's a Mazda MX-5 coming up on a Mazda Speed 3, a Kinetic Kia Forte Coupe on the outside. Tom Long gets that position back.
This is the 10th, 11th, and 12th in the ST class.
The Kia's got a run going back at Tom Long now.
Yeah, he's got good power in this middle part of the straightaway. Look there.
He's got, come on. He's got, push me up there. He wants to work with him.
This is further down, folks, just around the top 10 mark. Leading this ST class is Mark Miller for CJ Wilson's Mazda team. Then you got Tyler McQuarrie back in third. Greg LaFouge for Bimmerworld is second in this class, so that's a good run for the Bimmerworld boys.
Well, Tom goes, I'm not going to make you go fast. I want to pass you.
Yeah.
Oh, the Subaru in trouble. I think that's, it might have blown up. There's smoke underneath. It looks like it might have gotten in the wall.
Wow.
I think this is a mechanical failure, though.
Second place run going there, Dorsey.
Yeah, it was a very good run, and they worked hard on the Subaru and really told us to watch this car. It's going to be a lot better. I think this is a mechanical failure, though.
What a shame. They were starting to feel good about their chances of being up the front. They were a solid top 10 at Daytona until there was a last lap crash there in the bus stop, which took them out of contention.
Working on lightening the car. They're right down on the weight limit now. They got the increase in fuel cells. They really felt they had a car that could go for the win here.
Save some fuel.
Don't know if we'll get a full course out of that or not. If it blew the engine up, yep, we got one all right. Fourth one of this race so far.
And Andrew Aquilante, who works on these cars himself, can't believe it.
Yeah, it was definitely an engine. Oh, wow, you look underneath it. It's puking its guts out right now.
just when everything was running well and they were right up vying for a podium position. The Subaru road racing team out of this one at Barber Motorsports Park. So, as we're under our another full course caution, let's check in with Brian.
Well, James Clay's the team principal at Bimmer World, and you guys come back to ST racing full time. You've stepped out of the GS that you tried last year. Seems to be working right now.
Yeah, we're really happy with what we've got going on this year. Right now, we got 2 cars out there running, super strong right at the front. Unfortunately, we had a little contact with one of the others. Greg LaFouge running second in the Bimmer World car. CRC Brake Clean is with us here today, and their car's running 4, so we're really happy about that. We got an in-car camera this year for all the fans that want to check that out. This thing sits right on the visor. Gives you a pretty unique view of what's going on in the car for us. Motorsport Media has done that for us. BimmerWorldRacing.com. BimmerWorldRacing.com is our website. Check that out for some extra media, etc.
It should be a good view of the excitement at the start.
Oh man, lots of silliness going on, and you can catch it all.
Thanks, James. Best of luck. Chris?
Well, Brian, we've seen that Subaru running up at the front for about 12 months right now, but the team just can't get the result they want. And Joe, the guys in the booth are speculating it's an engine. Is that what's taking you out?
No, it appears to be something in the rear differential, rear axle, something like that.
How complicated is this car?
It's a challenge. It's a very big challenge. It was running really great today, and the guys did a great job prepping it and getting everything ready. It was competitive, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, this car is so fast. They just need to figure out how to get it to the checkered flag.
Of course, that's an all-wheel drive car, what he was talking about, the rear differential. There's a front differential as well as full-time four-wheel drive. And they split the amount of drive between the front and the rear axle. He's saying that the rear gears with transmission blew out.
Well, I think for the competitors in the GS class, look out, because they almost have unlocked the secrets to that car. And when they do, it will be a regular contender. Still so much more to come from Barber. Stay with us. And there are several Ultimate Driving machines in contention here today. 2 of the 4-line BMWs are in there for sure. We'll update you on more as we bring you up to date with a BMW race recap and just mayhem, simply mayhem on the opening corner of the opening lap with an 8-car incident that was just crazy.
They got that one cleaned up and they did it again. Second restart, 6 cars involved this time. More mayhem.
More cars airborne, more cars damaged, and we bring you up to our latest incident involving, unfortunately, the Subaru road racing team, the Phoenix Performance WRX STI of Andrew Aquilante and Brett Spouty. That car, we believe from team principal Joe Aquilante, with a rear differential problem, took them out of the running of a potential podium. Time to check in the pits. We start with Chris Neville.
Well, we can see that rum-bum Porsche staying out on the racetrack, and this is a good thing that we got this caution, because I was checking in with Joe Vardy right before the caution came out to figure out what their fuel situation is, and he said, now that we have the caution, we're in good shape, but if they had to go green, they were going to have to come to pit lane. And Calvin, you're so good at strategy. Any idea how much fuel they would have needed?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still pretty tight, but if Joe's saying they're good to go, I mean, they got 24 laps on the board, some of those yellow, and nearly 50 minutes to go, and I thought they could only go about an hour 10, so I think they're still in a stretch mode here, but certainly this yellow has helped a lot.
Yeah, well, they're good to go now, but they were going to have to come to pit lane and get 1 second of fuel.
Look at Dave Empringham pulling out of the line in that Tower Events BGB Porsche, the silver and blue machine, looking for a way through. Couldn't quite get there. The 4-line BMWs are door to door again. Look at those guys going hard at it. The 48 and the 46.
Those 2 can't get separated no matter what they do.
Hugh Plum and Charles Espinal going at it. Up over the brow of the hill. They may have even touched there.
They did do. Yeah.
Wow, they're certainly not playing nice together.
And down the inside goes Dean Martin in the 52.
Oh, he's got great car control, and he's using all of it here today. Really pushing hard in that Mustang.
The 61 Roush performance car is back out there, but it is many laps down, so that familiar red 61 is not in contention. Through goes Empringham. Keep an eye on that car. Boy, what a turnaround for Porsche in Continental Tire competition, hey? They've been up the front and then they disappear, but we've got 2 in the top 6 places right now.
I think all of the lead teams were looking at the configuration, the weight and everything on that car, and said, boy, if you put 2 good guys behind the wheel of that thing, that should really perform. And now we're starting to see it in terms of the Rum Bum team and also Empringham run now behind the BGB Porsche wheel.
Definitely. Joe Vardy took a look at that and he said, you know, this Porsche platform, to me, I don't know, it looks awful good. I got good drivers, let's do it.
One thing, if we rewind some time for that silver and blue BGB Tower Events Porsche right there, was a good bit of driving by the opening driver, John Ferrano, who went to the grass and missed all the mayhem in that second restart and was able to skip through and keep that BGB Porsche nice and clean and undamaged.
You see Matt Plum, and then you see the Turner Motorsports BMW now a lap down, so the problems that Bill Oberlin was feeling have cost them dearly. So I thought they were on a pretty good strategy, but obviously they've had some issues here today.
Well, Bill doesn't get that lap back as you look back further in the pack and see a big, huge scramble going on here.
00 CKS Camaros in the mix there. That's Ashley McCalmont. So too is the 59. The Mustang there pushing its way through.
Brandon Davis in that car right now, trying to make some good of it. And look at the 6 car from that first turn, first lap run wreck. Got drove over. No door on the car. The whole side tore off of it, of course. Still running good, though.
That's amazing. I mean, that thing looked like it was destroyed down in that first turn incident at the very opening lap of this race. But Brandon Davis, I haven't seen him a lot in the Continental Series, but certainly he's used to these high horsepower machines. A lot of success, even in Trans Am.
Getting real dark down there by the turn 1 area behind it, guys.
Clouds are coming in, aren't they? Quick update on ST. It's still Mark Miller over Greg LaFouge, Tyler McQuarrie, Seth Thomas, Jason Saney, Pierre Klein-Newbing and Ryan Eversley, and then Owen Trinkler. Check this out here. We've got some team cars coming together. Oh, and guess what? The 12 and the 25 are still going at it.
Wow, that is wild.
That was crazy stuff right there. Both Kias and the 25 really messing up.
Tom Long and Mark Pombo still going at it. And we go up to the front of ST. This is a really great story for baseball superstar CJ Wilson, his team. He's so passionate about, obviously, 2 things. His baseball, his career, but also motor racing. And this new young team really doing great things in this class.
Well, he's got to pit soon because he hasn't seen pit lane yet. And if his teammate's going to get points here today, he's got to do 30 minutes in the car. Only got 45 on the clock, so expect that car to be in pit lane shortly. And it will need a splash of fuel for sure.
Greg LaFouge under a little bit of pressure from Tyler McQuarrie in the Insight Racing BMW. There'll be that second Bimmer World car a little further back with Seth Thomas behind the wheel of the 82. Jason Saney did some really good forceful driving a little earlier on in that 03. You'll see him. He's the next CJ Wilson Racing Mazda to come through. And then Pierre Klein-Newbing. Let's find out. Let's go to the pits and find out more about Jason Saney.
You guys talking about the CJ Wilson team. The one thing about Jason Saney is they are done with their stops. The cars in front of them, several cars in front of them, will have to make one more stop. Jason made his. They did their driver change, filled it with fuel. They've told me they're good to go to the checkered flag.
They could be in really good shape then. So certainly the team car needs to see pit lane for a number of reasons. But here we're seeing a thick battle here in the GS class. Matt Bell behind the wheel of the Stevenson Camaro.
Order up front is Matt Plum, Eric Curran, Dave Empringham, Hugh Plum, Espen Laub is there. Then we go back and we pick up Dean Martin, Matt Bell right there. Cal mentioned in the 9, Stevenson Camaro working his way forward. Scotty Maxwell has taken over from Joe Foster. He's there in the Aston Martin Vantage. Good stuff in the top 10. Then Joey Atterbury and Ashley McCalmont in the top 10.
All of these guys in similar fuel strategy, about 19 laps on the board here. The leader has a lot more, of course, but they're saying they're good to go.
All right, we haven't seen what is traditional or typical, and that is the Compass 360 machines up the front and dominating ST. Where are they, Chris Neville?
Well, I think right now the lead Compass 360 car is back at about 7th, and that's because of fuel strategy. Once again, Compass 360 always great on fuel strategy. Carl Thompson, your team, always making that right call. And Ryan, he's going to have a car that's hopefully going to be up the front at the end, right?
The disadvantage with the early strategy is he's got to work with the older tires a bit, but we've had so much yellow here today that I think we're pretty good on grip. And hopefully he can move up the front just a little bit further. I mean, you know that new 2012 Civic SI that we're working on, it's a work in progress, but it's coming along really well. We've got good support from the folks at Honda Performance Development, and as the year goes on, it's going to be pretty good.
Now, you and I had a conversation this weekend about a comment that Eric Berkman, president of Honda R&D America, said that he wants to see the NSX in GT racing in the next couple years. You're hoping it's you, and you hope it's going to be over here in the Rolex series.
I sure do. That new NSX, it's sort of like that back to its roots for Acura and for the Honda organization. It's gorgeous, and we think it can make a pretty good race car. would be really good in GT with the Rolex guys. So it's still pretty far away yet. It's probably a 2014 project, but there's a lot of engineering work, so we're hoping that's going to be in a Grand Am paddock pretty soon.
He's brought a lot of wins in the Continental paddock. He's hoping to move up to the Rolex series.
And while these guys here aren't vying for a win, they're vying for honours. I wonder if somebody's told Mark Pombo that Nick Johnson owns the team.
I don't think so, the way this is going. And they're still trying to find a way by Tom Dyer, who keeps hanging in there in that position right in front of him.
And Tom Long keeps getting involved with it. When they get all wrong, all of a sudden Tom Long's in the middle of it. And look at the side panels on all these cars are starting to get bashed in. They're really doing some door-to-door stuff.
We were on board with Tom Long. We ride now with Mark Pombo. That's Nick Johnson up ahead, the defending series champion in ST. He's chasing after Tom Dyer. What's this replay show us? Take a look at the second car here, the Turner Motorsport BMW.
Oh, he broke something on suspension over the top of that curb.
Phil said he was feeling something.
Yeah, he slammed that curb and the left front just gave up. It blew a tire on the other.
Look at how good it looks for the rum-bum Porsche. Lou Bacardi's decision for he and Joe Vardy to switch direction for drivers Matt Plum and Nick Longy proves to be a successful and correct one. Final 41 minutes here at Barber Motorsports Park of the second round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Look at those angry skies above. Can we get this one finished in dry conditions, or will we have another element of craziness?
I'm betting on the other element of craziness, to be honest with you. After seeing what I've seen so far, this has been the best battle on the racetrack. The two Kias.
These yellows have really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of the strategy of some of these leading teams. Remember, the Kia sat on the pole. Right now, they're outside of the top 10, and they're really on the same fuel strategy as everyone in front of them. So, just making those calls, not understanding or not knowing certainly how much caution you're going to see the rest of the way.
Look what happened to Steve Randall in the Mustang here. Gets in with way too much speed. Gets himself, puts the power down, nails it, and squeaks his way right on out of there.
Well, they have enough ground clearance on the Continental cars. You see the Rolex cars go in there, they just seem to sort of grind themselves into the dirt, but these cars can get through there if they keep the momentum.
That was close. I don't know if he got a long brake pedal or what, or if he just forgot to brake, but he had way too much speed going on.
That was second and third in ST. Greg LaFouge and Tyler McQuarrie, who came around in the 81 and 18, right there near Steve Randall. So that was a close call. Nothing changed up front. Matt Plum overall has a 3.7-second lead over Eric Curran in the CKS Camaro squad. And this is mid-pack ST, hard as you like racing.
It's an angry little group, as I like to call it, when you see these guys all like that. Pieces of bodywork all hanging off where they've done battle side to side.
I got roughed up there. He's dropped a lot further back. He's battling out with those Kias there. Now he's about 5 positions back.
Ford Focus in the middle of that. It's done some damage on the right rear.
Excitement around that program. They really feel that car has tremendous potential to be shown at the front here shortly in this championship.
Cool cars. Those cars are really neat.
Got Cephus behind the wheel of the 16 Ford Focus right now, sharing that car with Nick Mancuso from Chicago. And Nick is really excited about this program. Got offered the seat, did a test a couple of weeks ago. Multimatic wanted to bring him into their sports car program.
Talked to Larry Holt about the evolution of that Ford Focus, and he said it's really coming along, as you said, Calvin. Gunnar Jeanette, James Gouet had a good qualifying run in it, but some problems here in the pits. They could not get fuel in the 15 when they came on their first stop, so that really put Gunnar Jeanette well back in the order. They're developing the differential, and right now Larry said the car is excellent from apex out. Still struggling a little bit with corner entry, but since Daytona the car has gotten much better. With Larry Holt behind the engineering and the development of that car, expected to get even better still.
Differential on these cars is what puts, it's like the transmission, it's what puts the power to the front wheels and how much lock you get. These are front wheel drive cars, and you can't lock them up like you do a rear wheel drive car, because then the thing wouldn't turn at all. You'd be braking axles. So it's a complex situation to try to get the amount of grip from the front that you need on acceleration, and yet have the car still be able to turn. I mean, 90% of what's going on in the front wheel drive happens off the front two tires.
So So up front, this is what it looks like. Good clear road there for Matt Plum, but Eric Curran has his hands full with Dave Empringham in that Tower Events Porsche for BGB. There's 2 Porsches in the top 3. That's the first of the BMWs, the B positive of Hugh Plum. That is Matt's older brother for 4-Line Motorsports, running 4th. Yes, he's got the better of Charles Espenlaub, former series champ. Dean Martin is running a really encouraging 6th place as well. But for Dave Empringham and John Ferrano, this is a huge boost. If they can hang on to that 3rd position, this will be their best ever result as a partnership driving together in the Continental Series. Of course, Dave Empringham, a former champion in Grand Am competition. So this is a nice way to get things going for the new racing season.
Look at a race of this nature. If you finish it all, you're just pretty happy.
Yeah. See Scotty Maxwell there doing a great job in the 55 Aston Martin up to the 8th spot. Matt Bell has just been dropped. Now Joey Atterbury is all over him.
One thing about it, you get through with the day here, you know you've been in a war from the beginning to the end.
Aston is really good under the brakes there.
Gets off the corners pretty decent too. It looks like it's lacking a bit on top end.
Yeah, mid part of the straightaway, I think it loses just a little bit, but not too much. You can see he's there, still hanging there with the 52 car. Dean Martin. It's just a battle all the way through this field. We talk about the massive field, but every position is hard fought, as you can see, whether it's ST or GS. No one gives up anything easy.
Hey, we keep looking at those angry skies above. Brian, you're down there. You're on pit road. How does it look?
Well, you know, there's been plenty of excitement today, Lee, to say the least, and I'm sitting here watching the big screen across the pits and watching the racing going on. Screen went black just a second ago, and it popped up a message from the National Weather Service. Severe thunderstorm warning for this area until 9 p.m. And when I look at the skies across the back straightaway, they're clear. But back behind the announce booth and behind the paddock, it is dark.
And so too will Joey Atterbury after losing the 62.
Ooh, that was weird.
Just gave up right in the middle of the corner, didn't it? It almost looked like he hit oil or something.
Yeah, it was a big snap all of a sudden.
Now,
see another car slide through there a little bit. That orange.
I do think there was something in that corner because the car just took off too easy by itself. The rain here wouldn't be a problem, guys. We never have a problem with running these cars in the rain. Lightning, on the other hand, is a whole different story. If we start getting thunderstorms and lightning hits, they'll have to pull the people back off these towers.
So up front, Matt Plum continues to prove that their decision to switch to the Porsche was a good one. 4 seconds in front of Eric Curran, who's got Dave Empringham all over him. Quite a few warriors out here today as well. It's been a tough task to look at Michael Valiente in that Honda Civic in the 93, defending from Tom Long, who's been powering his way forward in that Freedom Autosport Mazda.
They're just having a whale of a time around here. I mean, Michael's been drafted into this team, started at Daytona, should compete in the majority of the season with the Hart Racing team, and see him just hanging on there. Tom Long seems to be in the thick of the action all day long, though.
Of course, if you're fighting toward the front of it all, you really want to be aggressive with that sky looking like that. We've got 31 minutes left in the race, but rain looks to me like we'll get here before that's over.
Good running up front for Matt Plum. The team's feeling pretty positive. Nick Longy and Joe Vardy and Lou Baccardi. Good team effort from these guys. And the clock is running down. Are we going to run faster than that sky, though? 30 minutes still left in this race.
All clear.
Tell you what, with the strategy that they've called on the run bump car, the one problem they may have, there was a yellow, and everyone stacks back up. They're going to have a lot of laps on these tires. So what Matt Plum needs to do right now is just really try and conserve the tires as best he can, yet maintain that 2-3 second gap on the rest of the field.
Of course, the rain would be a savior to him because the tires wouldn't be an issue. If they got wet enough, they'd have to come in anyway. Everybody would.
Back on board, Mark Pombo. So you can see there that Tom Long has got ahead of Michael Valiente. Now Pombo wants a shot at this Honda.
This has been a really volatile little area of the racetrack. Anywhere Mark Pombo's has been very active. The Kia guys really putting on a show.
This is the fight to break into the top 10. Tom Long has now stolen that position from Michael Valiente.
Valiente's really quick there through the chicane, and then There's a little bit on the exit. Still early days with that new Civic.
There's your ST leader right now, the MX-5. Beautiful, not a scratch on that car. Unusual for today.
The thing they're going to have is a problem because of the timing and scoring.
Mark Miller, I mean, he's got the lights on in the car because it's getting so dark out. Here's an MS. 2 cars involved so far.
The problem is for that lead ST car, they haven't seen pit lane, so the other driver will not get points, I don't think, under 30 minutes to go.
That's right. He's been out there for all 52 laps.
Won't refire. You see the flame coming out the back, means the engine's dead. He's cranking it, but it has not fired off yet, and he's in a very precarious part of the racetrack.
It was Eric Curran who was running second. He was trying to chase down Matt Plum, our race leader. CKS Autosport Camaro facing the wrong direction, and Eric can't pull power. He can't. Now he does. Now he gets it going.
Well, there was another car there involved too. I don't know if they tapped one another or if they just got in there. It almost looked, Calvin, like before when we saw the car just break free.
See a bit of damage there.
I think there was contact more than likely then.
It's a disappointment because they had a good run going at Daytona as well and had problems late in the going.
I feel for Kirk Spencer and his team because every time they take a step forward, there seems to be 2 steps back. Or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They can never get a clear break here, these guys, but they clearly showed how fast that car was, grabbing the pole, running up front. Good job by Lawson Archenbach and Eric Curran, and we have a replay for you to tell you a little bit more about this story.
Oh, now we're going to know what happened. There's going to be contact. Big time contact.
That was pretty brutal. That wasn't really close, was it?
No. 39 got drilled.
That's Rick Skelton in the 39.
Didn't see the total perspective of how that came about. We just saw it right in the middle of the corner, but
that's a bigger hit than I expected, really.
We keep talking more about the 04 of the CJ Wilson Racing Mazda, the class leader in ST. Tell us more, Brian.
The answer from down here, and Jim Jordan, who's calling the shots today, is we don't care about points. We care about the win. And so Bruce Ledoux doesn't care about points. They don't care whether he gets to 30 minutes. They're pulling a big enough gap. They feel like they may be able to stop and still put some good tires on and make a quick dash to the end. And then if it rains, they're also saying everybody will have to come in. Bruce is very good in the rain. They're trying to come off with a win. They don't care about points for Bruce.
There you have it.
Okay, 6.0 is the gap.
That's the communication to Matt Plum. 6.0 is the gap. Porsche to Porsche. Yes, you are hearing right. In Continental GS competition, Porsche to Porsche. Rumbum to BGB. Matt Plum to Dave Empringham. Massive transition for these guys from BMW to Porsche. The Porsche's about 400 pounds lighter, but it doesn't have the same horsepower that the BMW did. But boy, is it looking good and working out just nicely. Things getting pretty dark here at Barber Motorsports Park with those clouds closing in and some pretty nasty weather not too far away, but time appears to be on our side at the moment with 23 minutes remaining. We may see this one stay dry.
Clyde's moving in on Mark Miller too. I'm not quite sure I understand the strategy of the team, but you got the second and third place car. That is the distance. That's the leader just going through. That's second. That's third. So how you hope to hit pit lane and take tires and still go for a win, I'm not quite sure this late in the going.
Quick update on those earlier incidents for you there. You can see on the graphic the drivers involved and the treatment necessary. All in all, with the severity of those impacts and incidents, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, when you get into that bumping around and bouncing off walls and getting hit by other cars, you're not always getting braced in the seat like you should be. You're getting tossed around pretty good. So that wrist injury to me is not really that uncommon a thing. Steering wheel will be whipping all over the place.
Look at this. Tyler McQuarrie wants back for second. That could be the win eventually.
Oh, Pierre Klein-Newbing, our round one winner and championship leader.
You don't see him make mistakes very often, and that was a locked up front end and good avoidance of the gravel trap.
Was able to get around on the grass and get going again.
This time of the race, the brake pedal gets a little bit long. The tires are getting long in the tooth as well. And this racetrack is pretty slippery. You can tell all of the just by the nature of the racing miles that have been run on it today that it's full of debris.
There's the gap 1 to 2. There's Dave Empringham at the bottom of the screen. Here's third, Hugh Plum with a pretty damaged 4-line BMW for B positive. Then there's the 48 of Charles Espinlau, and the 5th position, the Multimatic Aston Martin of Scott Maxwell, looking good to gain a few more positions. Weather check. Here's Brian.
Feel like Al Roker down here, guys. I keep giving you weather updates. Now the big screen says severe weather approaching. Please take cover immediately. Well, guess what? You're in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. You can't take cover. We still have, just over 20 minutes to go here. It could get really interesting.
Well, Scotty Maxwell's going to make it interesting on those 4-line BMWs here in a moment, because he wants a podium finish here today. He's got a fast race car. Here he comes.
First one on his list is former series champion Charles Espinlau.
Got nowhere to go with that yet, but he's going to make something happen the way it looks.
You can see his old teammate David Empringham a couple of cars ahead in that Porsche, and he wants to go play.
Good sign too, because we've got 2 Aston Martin Vantages in this race and in the series. There's a third coming. Dave Russell and the guys from Automatic Racing will be taking delivery of a new Aston Martin. Obviously, we'll take delivery of that via Multimatic. They're the official Aston Martin Racing subsidiary in North America. So exciting times.
Can you see it with steering wheel a bit?
Not sure if Dave's going to be driving it. I don't think he is.
Sorry, Dave.
It's a beautiful race car. It really is. I mean, it's such a great line on the Vantage body style, and good to see it so competitive here in the early stages of this season.
Beautiful car, like you said, Calvin. It's great to see that car out on the racetrack.
Brian?
Guys, you were talking about earlier the brakes on the Aston Martin be one of the strong suits, but also talking to Scott Maxwell, he told me that they only use 2 gears around this racetrack, so therefore they don't have a lot of wheel spin coming off. Tire life is a big deal on that Aston. They seem to last a long time, and I can't help but wonder if the combination of good brakes and good tire life on this long green flag run is really drawing Scott Maxwell a little closer to those fall line BMWs in front of him. Will be interesting to see who has the better Continental tires at the end.
There's one 4-line BMW checked off his list.
Yep. And that was the strength there under braking, just really put it in there deep, no problem whatsoever.
Well, I tell you guys, we've got 19 minutes left in this thing. I don't know if we can squeak through this rain or not. And if it does, with say 5 minutes to go, what's your call? Are you going to come in for rain, or are you going to stick around?
I think you got to stay out.
I think I would be with you on that one.
There'll be enough carnage going on. We'll be on the yellow. Anyway.
Yeah, did it in the dry.
You may have noticed the hand gesture there from Charles Espinlau about the window. I think he might have been taken a bit by the severity and the aggressiveness there of Scotty Maxwell down into turn 5, and gave him some extra room, but nonetheless, pass executed, and on goes the Canadian to try and get the other 4-line BMW of Hugh Plum to put that Aston Martin on the podium here in Alabama.
He's sure got the speed. He's showing it right now if he's got enough time left.
Mark Miller continues to stay out. Quite remarkable, the fuel mileage that the car is getting, even with these yellows. But here we see a pass for second. This could be critical. This could be for the win here today. Tyler McQuarrie takes second spot away from Greg LaFuge.
Fighting back, however.
And again, it's one of the relatively new teams to Continental competition. It's the Insight Racing BMW team. We saw them debut here last year. Look at this.
Yeah,
good work.
That Bimmerwell car had a bit more power there, but Tyler had the inside line, made it stick. The rules dictate you've got to do a driver change to get points and get that win there for that lead Mazda, so he's going to have to hit pit lane.
And I'm not sure the team knows that. You know, they were talking about they don't care about the points, so it doesn't make any difference to put the other driver in, but it is a mandatory 2-driver situation. They have to put the other driver in.
All right, we're going to squeeze in a quick break, and the boys at CJ Wilson Racing are feeling pretty good about things. It's been nice to see those Mazdas up front. Well, we welcome you back, and the story continues to unravel. We're under our 5th full course caution with just 10.5 minutes to go. A storm approaching, and the field now compact. And the reason why is there is a 4-line BMW. The 46 machine of Mark Bowden, Brian Sellers, is in the gravel trap. So Mark Bowden has been...
They've gotten it out. You see right there dumping some gravel, so he's free. So we won't have much more caution, but we don't have much more race lead. 10 minutes.
Exactly. So The Rum Bum BMW is at the front. Chris, can they hang on?
Well,
actually,
I think they
Rum
can,
Bum
obviously.
Porsche, I should say.
There you go, Lee. I think they can. I think they're in good shape. And earlier in the race, you guys were talking about how a few years back a Porsche was the car to have because it was winning races, and then all of a sudden it became the car not to have. And I went and spoke with Nick Longy about that, and what he said is when Porsche was winning a few years back, that was the 3.6-liter motor, and all of a sudden we got these more torquey cars coming into the series, the M3, the Ford Mustang, the Camaro, and that 3.6 just couldn't compete with that torque. Well, this Porsche that they have is the new 3.8-liter direct injection motor. This is a stock motor in this car, and he said that's what's really been kind of the tipping point and finally put them back in a position where they can compete with the torquier motors. Now, he said he doesn't think they're going to be as dominant as they have been today at other racetracks, but this is just the right configuration for that car and for that motor.
Yeah, it's looked awfully strong.
I had to leave because it's hidden over there, and I have all my bags. I'm walking right now. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate everything you did for us. Thank you.
So one of the interesting things talking with the Rum Bum boys earlier this week, because of the newness of this car, and they have not had it very long, not sure if they know entirely of just how far they can go. They don't have race history with this. So it'll be tight here. They're stretching that fuel window, as Chris told us. Porsche has not won in this series in Grand Sport in 2 years. 2010, Mid-Ohio, TRG, Spencer Pumpelly and Steve Bertho. It's been a long time.
There's been a bunch of chatter on the radio for the 13 car back and forth between the driver and the pits, and they're saying, do you know what to do if it runs out of fuel? And they're giving them fuel readings every single lap. So there's they're very worried about this lead car, the 13 Rum Bum Porsche, not having enough to make it to the end. Now it's raining.
Oh, guess what? Yeah, the weather is really starting to impact on things here. With 8 minutes to go, Cal, what do you do?
Well, I think you just got to stay out and try and survive. I mean, sure as eggs are eggs, if we do get a decent amount of wet weather, someone will fly off the road and you'll finish under caution. So for these leaders, they just have to hang in there, and they'd have to think that if Joe Vardy thought that the Rum Bum Porsche was good to go on fuel, this caution is just going to aid that situation. So I don't think Birmingham may have the opportunity to have a go here. We're now seeing some rain falling pretty heavily here down the front straightaway, so it'll be a call from Mark Raffoff in terms of whether he wants to go back. Flag running here, Dawes.
You got 7 minutes. I mean, Mark might just end it in the caution if it really is a deluge and starts just pouring, because there's not going to be much time to get all these cars into the pit lane, switch over to rain tires, and come up and have any kind of a race left. So that is his call, not mine, for sure, but it does look like it's about to really let loose here.
Right now, the cars are getting around the racetrack pretty decently, though. They're not skating around too much, so for sure, everyone behind the Rum Bum Porsche wants to go back to green and have a go at him.
1 to go. Lights out. 1 to
there's a decision.
go.
It's pouring, and we got 1 to go.
Yeah, now the boys are going to earn their money. Now they're trying to generate some tire temperature here.
Yeah, the racetrack's warm, so the rain is not going to just go there and get puddled right away. The tires, if they're warm, can go through that for a lap or two before they lose grip.
So as we get closer and closer to going back to racing with 6.5 minutes to go, a real quick break. We'll come back and finish this one off in Birmingham, Alabama. What a day it's been. We have had everything today here at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama, and baseball star, Major League Baseball star C.J. Wilson's team, Brian, has seen a lot of the class lead today.
Oh, they've seen a lot of it. The Energizer Bunny has brought the 04 to pit road. Miller just wanted to keep going and going. They were told by the officials they had to come and do the driver change. So Bruce Ledoux getting behind the wheel right now, or there would have been no team points at all. C.J. Wilson's team, though, a spectacular job. Both of these little MX-5s have been fast all weekend long. Bruce Ledoux now getting strapped in behind the wheel, but they're going to lose a lot of positions out on the racetrack.
And in a little hiccup, too, one of the cars that was running in the top 3 is the 18 Insight BMW. Unfortunately, during this caution period, passed cars that it was not supposed to, and unfortunately it appears as though it has taken itself out of a certain podium, maybe even a race win. It puts the 2 Bimmerwell BMWs first and second in class.
Wow, that is amazing.
Penalty
for
here.
Those guys, penalty as well.
That too is because he passed the pace car as well as the 18 BMW of Tyler McQuarrie, so that's why the CJ Wilson car is being held. However, it's not all bad news for that team because Jason Saney in the sister 03 is in third, so we could see one of CJ Wilson's cars on the podium here today.
And up front, lead of this GS race, Matt Plum right there. He's got the many lap down car of the 61, the Roush Mustang, in between he and Empringham. That will help.
Well, the Rumbum Porsche's windshield wipers doesn't work, so they don't work, so that's going to be another thing to deal with.
Right with you. They're real close, and it is green, 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 green.
Some checking up there and drivers pulling out of the line. Rain getting heavier. No problems with that windshield wiper for Dave Empringham, the second place car, the second Porsche
Look at
there.
that. Look at Maxwell there with a four-line BMW trading paint going down into one.
And Aston with a great run up the inside too, 55.
61 needs to get out of the way and let these guys go after it.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, looks like there's still plenty of grip, but it's raining.
Hugh Plum now forces his way through. Empringham trying to come back, and there's another Canadian in the mix in Maxwell. Look at this. Hugh Plum on the inside, and around the outside goes Espinlau. They're beating up on that Porsche, the BGB Porsche of Empringham.
Maxwell's up the second. Look at this. This is going to be a problem here. This is going to be a big problem. They've got to give each other some room. And they're trading paint again. Empringham is miffed.
Who's going to yield here? The Porsche has to. Espinlau goes through. 3 minutes to go. Well, the race is going to finish just as in exciting fashion as it started.
That was crazy, though. Going out into turn 5, Billy Johnson was trying to pass the leader.
That was really faster. And of course, Billy Johnson's not in the hunt for the win.
Billy some 12 laps down. They had major issues with the Roush Performance Mustang. Unfortunately, they were our championship leaders. They may not be by the end of this one.
Look at this.
And he's still in the middle.
Look at that Aston. That Aston is hooked up in these conditions. Maxwell is on the charge. Look at him. He says, get out of the way, Johnson. I need to come through. There's a race here for the lead.
It is indeed. And that Aston could win.
Don't discount the 45, the B-positive BMW of Hugh Plum. So you've got brothers running first and third. Hugh's on a real charge in that 45 machine. 2.5 minutes to go.
This is going to get crazy.
Aston is hooked up.
It really is.
Good work. We heard from Scott Maxwell a little earlier where he told Brian, he said, we're just going to do this on a one-stopper.
I really understood through it right there. The Porsche came out a little bit stronger.
The conditions look pretty good right there.
Desperation this last lap.
That's the call out to Matt Plum, the race leader in the Rumbum Porsche.
Look at the brakes on that.
Yeah, he takes it in so deep. Matt's got to be aware of that. He could probably brake 2 to 3 car lengths deeper than that Porsche, so Matt has to be aware of that. Surely the team will be telling him to defend that inside line here.
Pouring down the back straight. You can really see it coming down over there.
1.5 laps to go. They will come to the white flag next time around. Can this Porsche win on debut for the Rumbum team? Can the Aston Martin get its first victory and only its second start? And then you've got the B-Positive Foundation honouring Andrew McDonough with Hugh Plum behind the wheel after taking over from Al Carter. Can he do something in this final run to the checkered flag?
Fantastic stuff here, but Matt Plum seems to be back in a rhythm, Dorsey. Yep. He's got a fast race car. Pressure was coming on from the Aston Martin, but now it's settled down again.
And so is the rain, thank heavens. It looks like it's let back.
We'll see the white flag this time, under a minute to go. Can Maxwell pull something out of his hat? Where is the magic?
Going to be in a braking zone, we know that.
Guys, there's been some magic in ST. Owen Trinkler in that Honda Civic for RSR Motorsports has pushed his way up in between the Bimmerworld BMW. So Owen Trinkler on a surge there, chasing out after Greg LaFouge. We're on our final lap, though, overall, and in GS. Oh,
trouble here.
Back here. That's Tom Dyer in the 32, the 23. Is that Terry Borchella in the 23? I think it is.
Stay local yellow. They're going to finish this thing off.
There's another car off right there, driver's right. They won't go to a full course for this, not on the last lap.
This is it. The pressure's on here. That's Greg LaFouge for Bimmerworld. The white car, the white Honda is Owen Trinkler. That'd be that car's first win if it could get there. This is going to be a crazy last lap, and the Kias are coming as well.
Wow, look at this action right now for the ST lead. Trinkler had been very fast in practice. We've got a great race car. Can he get it done in this final lap here?
Any of these top 4 cars capable, no doubt about it. They're close enough.
That's Nick Johnson who's got by, so Nick's now working his way on to Owen Trinkler to try and steal second away, and that Kia could get back-to-back wins here at Barber Motorsports Park.
Yeah, well, the Scandinavian driver, he knows how to get it done in these conditions. This is right up his alley.
Out of 5 for the final time.
Look at that driving, it's off the corner.
Yeah, he set that up in the corner entry. He really set that up to get to the inside, and he goes by, takes a position.
The kinetic Kia is into second place. Matt Plum is holding on. I think he may have enough here over that Aston Martin Vantage of Scotty Maxwell. Final couple of turns, last lap. What a dramatic day it's been here in Alabama. Weather, crashes, new cars, new teams. How about this? On debut, the Rumbum, no more BMW, it's a Porsche these days, and Plum and Longy drove all the way to victory lane. How about that? The switch to Porsche was a successful one. The action's not over in ST though.
It isn't. Nick Johnson is getting really close, and we know how aggressive this driver can be. Will he force the issue? Just 2 corners to go. Can he get the drive here for the win, Dorsey?
He's getting the run. He's going to try to get up the inside if he can. Not there. I don't think it's going to happen. Not enough time.
Well done to Greg LaFouche. How about this? The Bimmerworld boys, they're going to drive to victory lane. Greg LaFouche is going to handle the pressure. So it's a BMW, a Kia, and a Honda, 1, 2, and 3 at Barber Motorsports Park. There's James Clay and the Bimmerworld team. They are celebrating.
Oh, big crash on the front straight.
That's one of the APR cars. Oh, that's nasty.
That's a big hit, really big hit. And here come a lot of cars still vying for position.
And the day finishes the way it started, with carnage and crashes.
That thing hit everything.
Wow.
Pretty sure I saw the driver moving around like he was very animated and angry. Yeah, I assume he must have got tapped.
Not at all unusual to get the wind knocked out of you. A hit like that, he's gone in forward and backward. Big hits on both ends. He is moving around in that car.
6 APR cars in this race. 1 in GS, the rest in ST. Meanwhile,
good job, Matt. You are the man.
Yes, what a day for Rumbum Racing.
That was a beautiful drive by Matt Plum in very difficult conditions there at the end.
Watch this, guys. This is brutal.
Let's have a look at
got
what
bumped right there, got turned. Watch this. Oh, that's a huge side impact. Luckily on the passenger side, not the driver's.
And I think that was Alex Altberg behind the wheel of the 171.
It's the worst kind of hit. Luckily, like you said, it hit on the passenger side, not the driver.
One of those Multimatic Ford Focuses was involved in that incident as well. But we've said plenty about Rumbum Porsche and the overall win and the GS win. What about Bimmerworld for David Levine and Greg LaFouche? First wins in that Bimmerworld machine. Well done, boy. It's time to go to victory lane. Here's Chris.
Yeah, Lee, I think we'd have to call this race the Barber Bash. And when you look at this Rumbum Porsche, there isn't a mark on it. Matt Plum, Nick Longy get their first win. 3 wins last year. What a race for you guys. You just kind of set sail and ran away with this thing.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, how about these Continental tires? Wet, dry, medium. That was the longest stint I've ever put on a set of tires from Continental, and it was spectacular. The other thing is, I mean, first time for this Porsche, we couldn't script it better. I'm so happy for our boss, for our team. Joe, Ed, John, Bob, Joe. I mean, these guys are top rate. They deserve all this credit, and I guess my teammate Nick deserves a little bit as well.
Yeah, Nick finally shows up to victory lane down here, and Nick, you were standing by in pit lane. He was running away with this thing, and all of a sudden that caution came out with 6 minutes to go. How nervous were you?
Extremely nervous the entire time. This is a fantastic effort by the entire team. Matt just blows the wheels off it. It was very tight on fuel with all these wrecks. I want to thank Louis Picardi, Rumbum, our whole team, AST Shocks, for giving us just a fantastic car to make this happen, and obviously Matt for just driving the wheels off.
Unbelievable.
Great day.
Great day for this team on debut with the Porsche.
Great day for Bimmerworld as well in ST. David Levine, Gregory LaFouche. And David, you were the first one out, probably in the craziest part of the race. What was it looking like from your seat when the green flag flew?
Well, I never actually made it to the green flag before the race went yellow. I think total I got about 6 or 7 feet of green flag racing, but I'm not going to complain with this.
No, they won't complain at all. And Greg, for you, I was laughing with James Clay. He said, just as I had it scripted, this was a while when no one could have scripted this. Those last couple of laps, when the craziness started again and the rain came, how nerve-wracking was that?
It was very nerve-wracking because I was in the lead, so I was the first one to discover the conditions of the track. So basically, I didn't really know what was going to happen. So I had a few close calls, but I made it in the end. So I got to thank my teammate Seth Thomas for keeping some of the guys behind me, and Beamer World, CRC, and Continental for making those great tires.
Congratulations to Gregory and David and all of Bimmer World. Lee?
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, let's take a look at GS Grand Sport results here from Barber Motorsports Park. What an interesting start to this season, because the way we kicked it off at Daytona, the way things transpired here today with that rum bum Porsche grabbing the top spot. Best result for that team, for that car, okay? Best result for Foster and Maxwell with the new Aston Martin. Best result of the year for Carter and Plumman to add to that their 4th place from Daytona International Speedway. Ferrano and Eppingham in a second Porsche there, picking up a top 4 is outstanding.
Yeah, 2 Porsches in the top 4 is pretty amazing stuff. They're going to be a factor all season long. Shane for Eric Curran had that spin there and got involved with the other car. Otherwise, that pole sitting car could have been a factor at the end of this one as well.
I mean, this Grand Sport track class, to me, look at it. Look at all the cars in there. The parity is very, very good. I think we're going to have a great season.
And in a funny little statistical piece of history, the last time a Porsche won GS and a BMW won ST was the same track, same year, Mid-Ohio 2010. We just heard from the young guys there, Greg LaFouge and David Levine. Boy, Nick Johnson came on strong at the end. They almost converted a pole to a victory. And then Owen Trinkler and Congleton did a terrific job in that Honda, coming on strong at the end there. Best result for that car and that team.
Yeah, superb run for Nick Johnson there at the end, nearly getting Kyrgios' second win here on what is essentially home turf. So, but great job by Gregory LaFouge. He really hung on there in really tough conditions. I mean, as he said, he had to open the door and read the racetrack for the rest of the field.
And again, look at the manufacturers: BMW, Kia, Honda, Mazda. It's all right there.
We've got quite the break. There's another month off before we see the next round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series at Homestead Miami Speedway in late April. Boy, this one was a crazy one. We'll be talking about this one for a while, won't we? It had a little bit of everything, including some dodgy weather at the end, but we got there without the conditions being all that treacherous for the guys. This one will give everybody something to think about in that month off, and there'll be a few badly damaged race cars needing some attention. Thanks for watching Sports Cars on Speed. The Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series continues to entertain us, and we congratulate our winners.